Welcome to JCON!
Welcome to JCON!
Let me first start by saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is fantastic to have been invited, very humbled to be invited by the JCON organizers, especially Richard Fitchner, who asked me if I could come and participate in JCON this week. JCON is a tremendously valuable experience throughout the year. It affords in-person event. Now they've shifted also to provide an online experience. I have to say I am humbled by just the outreach and support that this conference is providing to the Java ecosystem. And so, over the course of the last couple of days and today, all of you have been experiencing a very deep and enriched experience around many facets of Java, both the language and the platform, as well as enabling technologies and investments that are built on top of Java. And that's a very encouraging thing to see. As far as today's concerned, it's sometimes important to take a step back and understand the environment we are all living in. But before we do that, I understand that this is, being live streamed. There may be questions that come up during the course of today's presentation. I'd ask if we could hold those questions till the end. And if we don't get to all of the questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm not sure how many of you are on Twitter. Am I allowed to say Twitter these days, or X or Xter or whatever that platform name is? Please follow me. You're welcome to drop me direct messages. I'll try to follow up as best I can. But I'll give you some additional resources to stay connected. In terms of where we are with Java, I'm just like many of you. My journey with Java started, and I'm going to date myself now, over 23 years ago. And regardless of where your journey with Java started, whether it was 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or if you were kind of there at the beginning, like myself, as a user trying to explore what is this interesting language named after a cup of coffee, it has profoundly changed our world. It's profoundly changed our lives. It's profoundly changed our career paths. And that is because Java in itself isn't just an enabling technology. It isn't just a programming language that helps solve many of the challenges and the solutions that are in front of us. It's not just a platform to run, important applications and mission critical solutions for your business. It is also an ecosystem. And when I started my journey with Java, it was introduced to me as something that was built upon a relationship. And so the real thrust of today's talk is about our responsibility, meaning our responsibility here on the Java team to ensure we continue to innovate Java in a way that offers value, not just for the 1 year or 5 years out, but perhaps for the next quarter century or beyond. We want to make sure that innovation pipeline continues to be rich with features and innovation that meet your needs of today, and also meet the needs of tomorrow that are accelerating and being presented to us almost in rapid fashion. But we also have to understand in that relationship, we have to include you. Java doesn't happen in isolation. It happens by partnering with you, by collaborating with you, by connecting with you. And that's the other side of the coin that oftentimes doesn't get surfaced. And it's important that you realize there's a way and a mechanism for you to play a part to ensure that Java stays vibrant for that next quarter century and beyond. So in terms of the approach from a development standpoint, it's also critical that we point out that we live in an evolving world, and that evolution happens at an ever-increasing pace. It absolutely does. The ways of development that we did 20 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, continue to change in rapid fashion. And so many of you might be at organizations that have utilized Java or currently are utilizing Java, or exploring that use of Java in new and innovative ways. And that sometimes means that you may have applications that are running in production that are long-standing where you perhaps don't want that to change. It's stable. You want it to remain stable. It's functioning in a way that you want it to. And so you don't necessarily want to embrace net new innovation. It may not make sense for that specific thread or specific type of solutions or value that you're offering to your end users or your customers. You may also then be on the other spectrum, which is innovation is mission critical to driving your business forward. That innovation needs to be accessible, be rapid, and be something that you can test and evaluate in not just years, but in months, if not in weeks. And so that puts us in an interesting position as a development team. We want to ensure that the things that we are doing allow you to embrace the future, but also ensure that your investments in the past still have value. And that sometimes puts a target on our back. Perhaps we're not moving too fast. Perhaps we're moving not fast enough, but maybe we're really pushing the envelope. And we need to balance this thought of conservatism and innovation such that it meets the needs for everyone. And that's the important part, because if you look at the spectrum, it's not just one developer, one enterprise, one use case, one best practice that is out there. Over the last 28 years, the Java ecosystem has grown into the tens of millions of developers, tens of thousands of enterprises, tens of thousands of use cases, and we need to be thoughtful with that complex landscape of utility. And so it's about that conservative and innovative balance such that we take advantage of that evolution that's happening in front of us. The reality is, again, things are not stagnant. The programming paradigms of the past continue to evolve and change for the future. The hardware architectures that are out there are innovating at a much faster pace, and we need to ensure that Java is performant on those new architectures. Or for that matter, the deployment models that all of you are utilizing in terms of automated CI and CD pipelines. How does Java fit within all of that? These are things that our engineering team, our development team think about every day. And sometimes you may say, well, there's so much net new innovation happening in other languages or in other programming languages. And that might be the case. The thing is with Java is we're not trying to be the hippest and the coolest and the most cutting edge all the time. There are cases and situations where that matters. But again, the sheer fact that the landscape of utility and usage is so broad and vast and deep, anything we bring into the language, anything we introduce in the platform will be long living. And so we want to sometimes do that in a way that is extremely thoughtful, that's going to create the optimal value, but also create the minimum harm for you as the end user. And so where do we draw that inspiration from? You know, when I joined the Java team back in late 2000, actually, I still remember my start date, which was December 8th of 2000. The principles of Java from that era are still the same principles that we develop Java today. The first is trust, second is innovation, and the third is predictability. And let me just touch upon each of those. It's sometimes important to remember that in that trust relationship, that we develop Java both openly and transparently. It's been foundational since day one. It continues to be foundational today. And as you can see through many of the innovations that we do, that transparent development is something that's accessible to all of you. And we'll touch a little bit upon that later in the presentation. Innovation. Now, I'll be honest, there were a few years back in the mid-2000s where the innovation pipeline may not be as robust as today, but we've solved for that. We've paid down the technical debt. We've put Java on a path where the innovation pipeline, as I had mentioned in the beginning, has never been richer, and it also has never been more accessible. And what does accessibility mean? Well, accessibility in the definition of innovation, at least for Java, means that we can provide that to you in a way that is as frictionless as possible. A lot of people don't realize this, but you can already get early access builds of Java today. Even though we've already released Java 21 in September, we already have early access builds of Java 22, which is coming out in March of 2024 for you to start testing and understanding how will that operate within your enterprise. And of course, predictability. I just foreshadowed a little bit of that. The years of having to wait multiple years to get access to a new version of Java are gone. We've put ourselves on a predictable release train where Java is available every 6 months, like clockwork. More efficient than sometimes some train systems in the world, but every March and every September, a new version of Java is available, and we'll touch upon what that predictability means as well. Now, in terms of that innovation, it's important to understand that innovation isn't just one feature or one dimension. We invest in multiple areas of Java, and we do that all through the OpenJDK project. If I know for many of you, you may be familiar with OpenJDK, I would ask that you visit that. If you're not familiar, please bookmark openjdk.org. This is literally where the innovation happens. All too often, I get asked the question, so where's the magic? What do you have up your sleeve? Where's the hidden trick? And the reality is there is no hidden trick. There is no magic happening. All of our innovation happens around projects that are defined to solve a unique set of solutions and challenges that you as developers are facing. And here we have listed a few of those projects, and I'll go into each of these a little bit. Apologies for a moment here. I'm getting an unstable bandwidth connection. Let me see if I can triage that. If you don't mind, I'm going to turn off my camera for just a moment. Maybe that'll help solve it. Bear with me. I just want this notification to go away. Okay, here we go. I'll try to come back on camera if that notification stays permanently disappeared. Okay, so let's get into a few of these. So first and foremost, one of the most meaningful projects I personally am tied to at OpenJDK is Amber. Project Amber is really trying to solve the language syntax of Java. So many of you might remember the Javas of the past where the verbosity may make it a bit more challenging in terms of its approachability. And what Amber is trying to do is solve for that in terms of making the Java language more readable, more writable, but more maintainable over time. As we see projects like in any business or any enterprise, someone else is eventually going to pick up that code, and we want them to be able to utilize that code in a way that is not going to create friction. And so Amber is really the guiding principle here is to make the Java syntax more approachable and less verbose. Project Layden was one of our newest projects. This is all about the startup time and reaching peak performance. And so we are just getting started with this project right now. We will hope to have more information, perhaps in Java 22, perhaps in also Java 23. But there are use cases where startup time actually may be more important than warm-up time. And in some situations, warm-up might be better, and we need to balance that. And so especially in the environment we live in right now, where speed seems to sometimes overtake efficiency, we need to optimize for those situations as well. And then kind of looking forward, if you just have not looked at Java 21 yet, I would encourage you to. There are many new features in Java 21 in September that are mission critical. And one of them is Project Loom. It recently introduced virtual threads. And virtual threads is really all about drastically reducing the effort of writing, maintaining, and observing high throughput concurrent applications that's trying to make best use of the available hardware of today. And that's important because a lot of you are doing development in cloud native environments where this is mission critical for you. Another key project, I'm sorry, I'm still getting a connectivity issue. If you could just bear with me for a moment. Can someone give me a thumbs up if they're still able to hear me?
We can hear you just perfectly fine.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I just seem to have some stability issues on my side, so I apologize. Another important project is Project Panama. This is also very interesting in the space of machine learning. The real aim here at Project Panama is to interact Java with foreign or non-native, non-Java APIs native code written in C and C++, which is all too common in machine learning. And until now, Java native interfaces was the solution to invoke foreign functions from Java, but it definitely has some shortcomings. And what Project Panama is trying to do is remove the need to write intermediate native code wrappers in Java. It's also trying to replace the byte buffer API with more future-proof memory API. And it's trying to introduce a platform-agnostic, secure, and memory-efficient way to invoke that native code directly through Java. And this is mission critical, especially in machine learning efforts. Project Panama, also kind of tied to AI and ML. And here what we're trying to do is augment the Java object model with value objects, kind of combining the abstracts of object-oriented programming with performance characteristics of simple primitives. It's really all about trying to optimize data, which is so inherent in machine learning. And then, of course, lastly, ZGC. ZGC is something we have continued to innovate on and is very important. What we're trying to do here is ensure that we can reduce the latency of garbage collection in a way that it doesn't impact your application performance. And with generational ZGC that we just introduced in Java 21, we're able to offer pause times in the milliseconds in the way that it can handle terabyte heaps of garbage collection without actually having any impact in your application performance. And so you can actually see how this transpires if we take a snapshot of Project Amber. Again, each of these projects aren't one feature or one piece of innovation. It's a collection of features that we introduce that build upon each other. And as you can see, we've been working on Project Amber since Java 10. We now have a very robust pipeline of features that are addressing that whole notion of reducing the verbosity of Java and improving that reading, writing, and maintaining ability of your language. And in some situations, when we introduce a feature, sometimes they're already ready and we introduce that as a standard and then we maintain that for many years to come. But in some situations, we also need your feedback. And so as you've seen in many of the releases of Java over the years since we've introduced a 6-month release cadence, sometimes we introduce that as a preview feature. And so for us, a preview feature is something that we believe is 95% ready. It's met all of our quality criteria, but that 5% that perhaps might be missing is end user feedback to take accountability of the multiple use cases that we have to account for. And so as you can see here, many of the features around Amber and other projects as well will introduce a preview feature. It allows you, the end user, to give us feedback that we can then account for. And in some situations, that might mean releasing a second round of preview, again, to extract that just a little bit of more end user feedback. In some rare instances, as you've seen with pattern matching for Switch, we've had to do a third and fourth because there is such a need to get this correct and a matter of precision that we ensured that we got all of the end user feedback possible to account as much for the variances that are out there that we can perhaps account for before releasing that as a standard. And so this is where you play part of that important role in terms of evolving Java. It's not just about picking up Java and using it immediately. It's about giving us the feedback necessary so it ends up meeting your needs. And so through the mechanism of preview features, experimental features, through early access builds, this makes you a viable partner in ensuring that Java continues to evolve and meet the needs of modern application development. Now, I always like to show this this graphic because this literally visualizes that predictable cadence. Back in the years, if we looked at Java 8 or Java 9, there was a significant gap in terms of the release time between one version and the next. And that created, although that that offered value, that also created a unique challenge for you as the end user in that there's a significant gap before a next set of innovation pipeline is introduced to you. But B, it also forced you or your business to try to understand, where do I use all of these new features? It sometimes took your business or yourself months, if not years, to fully embrace a specific release when we were on the 2 to 3 year release cadence. And that's not optimal in the world we live in, where innovation is changing so rapidly. We needed to break Java down into a path where that innovation could be introduced to you incrementally to make it much more approachable and adoptable. And so starting with Java 10, we moved to a 6-month release cadence. Now, for some of you, and still in the industry, there's a fallacy in that there's the assumption that in the 6-month release, you're getting the same volume of features as you did when we were in a 2 to 3 year release model. And that's just not the case. The 6-month release model is about reducing the latency to innovation, not increasing the throughput of innovation. And so even though every release of Java has tens of thousands of performance, stability, and security enhancements in it that you just get out of the box within every new JDK, we also have what we call the notion of JDK enhancement proposals, or JEPs, things that rise to the level to call out as a feature. And if you see this stream here between Java 10 and now Java 21, there's a pretty good clip and pace of anywhere from 5 to 15, maybe 16 new defined features in each release. And this just makes it much more approachable for you to pick up, give us feedback through early access builds, and then eventually utilize that in production in your organization. We also, in terms of commercial support, in the past, we used to offer commercial support on a release every 2 years, every 3 years. And so when we shifted to the 6-month release cadence, we offered commercial support every 3 years, starting with Java 11, and then the next one was in Java 17. Now, for many of you, that didn't work. You wanted commercial support much more rapidly, and since then, we've changed and enhanced our commercial support model to move from 3 years to 2 years. And so Java 21, which just released this past September, is our next commercial supported release. In that if you need commercial support from Oracle, we can afford that to you. And if you do the math, 2 years from now, Java 25 in 2025 will be the next commercially supported release of Java. So from a development standpoint, again, it's important that we continue to invest in the future to ensure that the innovation pipeline stays rich to afford the addressment of modern application development. But the other side of the coin, as I mentioned, it's all about you. It really is about you. And it's important that we continue to invest in the ecosystem. We continue to invest in the community to ensure that we have this partnership to ensure that Java stays vibrant for the next quarter century and beyond. And so the same principles that we define for developing Java, these are the same guiding principles that we invest in terms of stewarding the ecosystem forward. Trust, innovation, and predictability from a community standpoint is just as important as it is in terms of engineering development. Trust meaning that we will continue to invest in programs that help all of you reach your summit. Part of the experience of Java isn't just being an end user, it's making you an extension of that such that you can carry your knowledge, your best practices, your use cases to others so we can further and grow our community size. Innovation meaning that the foundational programs in terms of community from 28 years ago continue to evolve in ways that provide you that platform for learning, for connecting, and for collaborating. And of course, predictability in that we continue to evolve that catalog of programs that meet the needs of how we each want to be reached today. And so that fundamentally is what we're trying to do. The team that I continue to sit on, we're here to help you reach your summit. We need to ensure that the programs, the outreach, the connections, the platforms allow you to upskill yourself in a way that makes you viable for the next 25 years and beyond. And that's what it's all really about. It's about ensuring that what we're doing achieves something for you such that you reach your summit in the way that you want. And so fundamentally, all of the programs that we invest in pivot on these three principles: learn, share, and contribute. learn in the way that we continue to look at new releases of Java and provide mechanisms for you to pick up new versions and utilize them in real world use cases. Share in that you can take your knowledge, your experiences, and then cascade that across the large landscape of tens of millions of developers. And of course, finally, contribute, a mechanism for you to also share back into the collective such that we can take accountability of your ideas and your experiences as we evolve the language and the platform. And so I'd like to spend a little bit of the remaining time kind of going through that collection of places that you can participate. First and foremost, as we kind of sort of started, where does the innovation happen? It all happens at the OpenJDK project. This is the place where all of that quote unquote magic happens. And as we know, there is really no magic. It's all done transparently. And this is a place where you can participate. At the very least, and I get it, we all have our day jobs to do. We all have things that we need to focus in on. But to take accountability of that innovation that's happening, at the bare minimum, we encourage you to come and take a look at the OpenJDK project. Subscribe to the mailing lists of the specific projects that most interest you so you can keep up with what that innovation pipeline looks like. Again, all of our development is done transparently. You can look at what the conversations are in terms of design decisions, in terms of the decisions we've made, in terms of the decisions we haven't made and the reasons why. You can look at even the code check-ins. That's the level of transparency that we're talking about. Now, if you want to take that to another step, you can actively participate. We have different contributor roles that are also possible. It all depends on how complex you want to make that experience in terms of you want to be an author or a contributor or a maintainer of a project. We welcome your participation. And in fact, with every new release of Java, we highlight individuals and companies that contribute to every release. It's important that we acknowledge that we do this in partnership with you. And if you keep up with our release blogs, you can get a snapshot of not only the companies, but the individuals that are offering their time and expertise to ensure that Java stays vibrant. So as I said, the OpenJDK project value, it's all about ensuring that there's that incremental improvement and that there's new features. I would say one of the most important things that we get asked, especially with people that are joining the project initially, is where do you want to take Java, both the language and the platform? And that's sometimes a challenging question in that the landscape in front of us continues to evolve and change. And so we have to have the sense of adaptability. But the most important thing is, if you are participating with us in OpenJDK, what we are fundamentally trying to do is whatever net new innovation we introduce, it maintains that Java look and feel such that it remains Java, not just today, but tomorrow. Now, there's a cascade of programs that have been foundational to the success of Java. Some of you have participated in some of these, and let me just highlight a few of these because we here at Oracle, we here on the Java team, especially in the community engagement side of the house, need to ensure that we continue to water these. My father uses the metaphor of a tree doesn't stay strong unless you water the roots. And these are foundational roots to the success of the Java ecosystem. It's important we nurture these roots to ensure that the new branches of programs have life. First and foremost is the Java User Group program with almost 400 Java user groups across the world. This means you have a place to connect with peers, to have an open discussion and collaborate and share all of those use cases and best practices that just fundamentally make us better. Ideally, I hope I can see a Java user group on every continent. We have one everywhere except Antarctica. Maybe that'll change in the future. Who knows? But this should be encouraging for you. There's probably a Java user group within a drive, a train, maybe a short flight. Many Java user groups now have a digital presence. And this is also important. As we sort of share locally, we can connect globally. So I would encourage you to look at the Java user group program, and I'll give you a little bit of information as far as how to do that a little bit later. But this is fundamentally important because you now have a way to reach your peers on other sides of the world to ensure that you're enhancing your Java experience, your Java learning, and your Java connections. Another fundamental program is our Java Champion Luminary program. I know some of you who are watching are Java champions, and we want to thank you. These are individuals who we consider perhaps some of the top echelon individuals in the Java ecosystem who have the expertise and knowledge that we want to expose and amplify across the industry, because for sure they have that experience, they have that talent that demonstrates how Java can be utilized by all of us, ourselves included. And so if you don't know a Java champion, we have a mechanism for you to discover who Java champions are. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we are also looking forward to perhaps seeing many of you become one in the future. And then lastly, two of the rooted programs that are keeping Java vibrant. One is Oracle Academy. This is something that we don't necessarily give a lot of attention to, and we need to. This is something I fundamentally need to get better at as well, to ensure that I talk about this much more broadly and amplify. Oracle Academy literally is a place for both teachers, educators, and students to learn about Java. We have foundational programs at 3 different levels that are freely accessible, that both teachers and students can access to start upskilling their experience in the Java world. And then lastly, Oracle University. This is our place where we have our Java certification program. We're now going through the process of creating a Java certification program around Java 21. So please take a look at that as well. And that certification is kind of important. Last year we had the 1 millionth completion, a successful completion of Java certification. In fact, that individual is from Japan, and we highlighted that person. But that Java certification helps make you stand out from the crowd. And so, again, it's an important dimension that we continue to need to nurture. And in fact, if you're not quite ready to take the certification program, we have a free Java Explorer path in Oracle University to help you start preparing for that eventual certification. But you can still obtain a badge once you complete the Explorer program that you can put on your social handle or your LinkedIn profile, just to show that you have completed a set of course in terms of enriching yourself, with the ultimate goal of eventually taking that Java certification exam. So those are foundational programs. The reality is we live in a new world. We live in a new digital world. I say new because even the digital landscape continues to evolve and change faster than ever before, and we have to adapt. The reality is, with tens of millions of developers out there, each of you have your own modality in terms of how you want to learn, connect, and collaborate. And so we have to adjust and enhance our catalog and our portfolio of programs that you can experience and participate in. And one area for us that we have been highly investing in, at least highly investing in the last 5 years, is in our digital presence. First and foremost, if you have not seen our official Java YouTube page, I encourage you to take a look there. We've cleaned it up, we've refined it, we've created distinct channels and playlists that map to either events or topics. This is actually a great place to actually immerse yourself in some of the longer form of learning digital assets that we are creating. Part of that experience on our official YouTube page are some specific episodes. In long form, we have the Inside.java newscast. This kind of catalogs all of the innovation that has happened over a month's period of time, so you can understand. If you don't have the time to go read about it at OpenJDK, you can watch a roughly 20 to 25-minute segment online in terms of what those updates, enhancements have been. We also have a unique digital program called JEP Cafe. Now, JEP Cafe focuses specifically on the JDK enhancement proposals that are in flight or have been delivered. To do a bit of a deep dive in each of those JEPs, you have a better understanding of what is that JEP about and what are the relationships with other JEPs that are out there. And so this is a really good mechanism to understand the entire JEP program and the JEP delivery pipeline. Now, equally important is sometimes short form learning. We understand that sometimes many of you may not have the time commitment possible at any given moment. And so we have to also look at short form digital assets. And so SIP of Java provides you a 1-minute update. And these 1-minute updates are on lesser known features of Java. Sometimes we're often, and this is just human stance, we get attracted to the bright shiny new thing. When we were looking at Amber, text blocks and record patterns are the shiny new things, and then we gravitate towards that naturally. But there's a cascade of thousands of performance, stability, and security enhancements in every Java release that are equally important, that drive productivity. And so SIP of Java does that 1-minute deep dive into perhaps those lesser known areas that allows us to surface that with you, but then with resources to go do a deeper dive exploration when you have time. And of course, we can't forget the community. And so the community, we have two different assets. One's a podcast and one's a vcast. So the Inside.Java podcast allows us to feature individuals inside the Java team in terms of the projects that they're working on and their expertise and experiences that we want to put on the surface for you to have a better understanding of what we're doing. But then on the VCast side, Duke's Corner literally is an interview and exploration of your experiences, of individuals and experts in the Java ecosystem, so we can ensure that you don't feel like an outlier. The thing is, all of you matter, and we want to make sure we feature as many of you as possible in our programs, and Duke's Corner is one of those mechanisms to bring that innovation, to bring that experience, to bring your knowledge to the forefront so we can share those best practices with each other. Another couple of new modalities. I say new because we continue to evolve. If you have not bookmarked this yet, I highly recommend you bookmark dev.java. It should perhaps be one of the easiest URLs to remember, considering we're using the .java top-level domain. Dev.java is taking inspiration from the Java developer connection that some of you might have familiarity with from the past over 20 years ago. A single portal to try and solve as many of your Java questions and needs as possible. This is a place where we continue to evolve and iterate on learning assets and learning tutorials that touch upon various levels of skill sets. Whether you're just starting off in Java, you're at the intermediate level, or if you're looking for more expert level content, we try to catalog all of that learning information and tutorials at dev.java. It's also a place to catalog all of the resources in terms of our community. And this is important because there are so many dimensions, especially when we look at tens of millions of developers, thousands of end users, hundreds of user groups. This is actually your place to have that discovery. And so in our community tab, you can explore and identify and find all of those user groups, where they're located, who are the touch points, who are the organizers, how to sign up or connect with that specific user group. We also have programs like the Java Champions program, again, that will allow you to discover who are some of those recognized luminaries in the world. But we also want to make sure that you're aware of other programs that we're doing. Not always known, at least in this day and age, is our Java Day program. That used to be a stalwart in terms of what we delivered, where we would offer a Java Day in the physical sense in multiple locations around the world. And as we've seen, these last few years have been a bit challenging. We've had issues like a global pandemic. We've had a financial crisis that continues to sort of impact our global climate. But Java Day is something that we try to do in partnership with a Java user group. So if you are a Java user group leader or an organizer and you would like to collaborate with us on doing and delivering a Java Day for your members, we are completely open to the idea. We just have to calibrate on a date, a time, build an agenda, and then most likely we'll be able to deliver that to you online. If we have personnel that are in proximity to your Java user group, we could evaluate doing that in person. I will say this, I'm just going to be honest, it's much more easier right now in Western Europe in terms of being able to travel around. It's a bit more challenging here in the US, but if you do need a Java Day done locally in person, there's probably more opportunity to do that right now, at least where we are in this calendar year in Europe than any other place in the world. But if you'd like a Java Day done digitally online, we can definitely explore that as well. The other resource I hope you will also bookmark and put in your browser is inside.java. And this is something even I turn to almost daily. And what inside.java does that dev.java does not do is it catalogs all of the publications that is produced by the Java team here at Oracle. You can access inside.java from dev.java, but it does have its own destination. And literally all of our publications, our podcasts, our digital assets, our digital written material by individual, by topic, is aggregated here for you for discovery. So again, sometimes we have to take the time, raise our eyes up, and understand what's happening out there. Inside.java is a great way for you to, perhaps, for example, if you have interest in terms of the progress on Project Loom, you can click on the Project Loom tab, and you will get a compilation of all of the publications, all the writings, all of the videos related to that specific project, so you can keep up and look at the specific elements that are of most interest to you. So 2 resources, dev.java, inside.java, should be 2 rather easy URLs to remember moving forward. Now, again, as I said, Java Together. Java Together means not just what we at Oracle are doing, but again, highlighting the experience that is out there in our ecosystem. And along with Java 21, which we just released in September, we also enhanced the dev.java portal. We are now taking community contributions. We want to be able to expose all of that innovation, that expertise that is out there to ensure all of those best practices and use cases that exist across countries, that exist across continents, can be shared with everyone. And so we now have a mechanism for you to contribute or propose a contribution such that we will publish your technical content. And again, let me rephrase that keyword, technical content, to the ecosystem. We definitely want to keep this free of product pitches and marketing content. So there is an extremely high bar when you propose content, and we're doing this through GitHub in terms of pull requests. So if you visit our community tab on dev.java, you can learn about how to begin that exploration. And I'd just like to personally first thank our first 4 community authors, Venkat Subramaniam, Heinz Kabutz, Jean Boyarsky, and Kai Horseman. I'm sure many of you might recognize these 4 individuals that appear on this slide. They were our first 4 authors, but we're hoping to add to that catalog of contributors from individuals such as yourself. So please go take a look. We are encouraged to evaluate your proposal, and then hopefully reach a point where we can then publish that on dev.java and then continue to share out with the world. Excuse me. And then the final update is also on dev.java. We've also introduced the Java Playground. And this also was launched to coincide with the Java 21 launch. Fundamentally, we have to look at the next generation. We absolutely do. If we want to make Java more approachable and utilized for the long term, we need to simplify sort of the learning experience in terms of understanding how to program in Java. And so this is our initial approach, is to make a browser accessible playground to play around with Java code in as a simple way as possible. And this is going to continue to evolve and be modified and hopefully bring on more capabilities. But it's also important for you, regardless if you're just starting your Java journey or experienced. What we also want to do is simplify the on-ramp of understanding specific code enhancements that we have done. And so we will be inserting code examples from various projects. For example, from virtual threads, you will be able to go to the example tab and actually get a code snippet of what a snippet of virtual code thread looks like, and then run it to see what it actually looks like. And so again, it's all about ensuring we are doing the things that are necessary to reduce the learning curve, to upskill you in a much more efficient fashion. And these are just areas of development and evolution that we're putting a lot of our time and thought into. So with that, I want to just first again say thank you to the organizers. It is humbling to know that an event like JCON continues to happen both physically and in person. You have a robust set of technical talks that have happened yesterday and continues forward today. But in that experience, as you do these deep dives, we'd also welcome continuing staying connected with all of you. I've just listed here a few URLs that hopefully you'll be able to bookmark, keep on your browser, and turn to often as you look to expand your Java knowledge. And as I said, please look for us on Twitter, X, Twixter. Again, I'm not sure what to call it, but we are active there as well. For general Java updates, please definitely follow @Java. For deep technical updates specific to a specific project or feature, you can look at OpenJDK. And then in terms of all of the updates specific to community and other dimensions, many of the individuals on the team are very vocal on social, myself included. So I would be humbled and honored if you would follow or connect with me, so I can continue to try and share as much information as possible, again, to help you reach your summit. And so with that, my utter thanks for participating. Very appreciative of you making time. I think it's almost 4 p.m. for many of you in Europe, so I'm probably standing between you and happy hour or your dinner, but I am very happy to stay on and try to address as many questions as I possibly can. And if I can't, I'll try to take accountability of the question and follow up with your question offline downstream. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully that will improve my bandwidth. And I'm going to come back on camera now. Let's see if that works. And I have to apologize. I just don't have a stable connection, and I don't know why. My apologies. Does that work? Nope. I still have crossing my fingers. Let's see how long I last. And if the connection breaks, forgive me.
All right. Thank you for your very interesting input. Maybe we can go through some of the questions in the chat.
Sure. Let me put on my glasses.
Yes.
All right. Yes. So first question. Let me read off some of these questions, and I'll try to take as many as I can. The first question is, what about blogs.oracle.com/Java Magazine? Absolutely. That is another learning digital asset. It is not part of what the Java community engagement team does. And so let me clarify that. So the Java advocacy team, Java advocates, Java DevRel, Java evangelism, pick the title that you want it. That has been a function that has always resided inside the development organization. It has never been treated like a marketing program. It has never been treated like a sales enablement program. It is literally a function that resides within development, which I believe is the right thing to do. So all of the programs that I have discussed and shared and continue to evolve on all reside within the Java development team. Java Magazine, although it's still a technical publication, it is a bit of an outlier in that it is orchestrated and evolved inside the Oracle marketing organization. So we do have influence over there. We do help that team out in terms of doing sometimes content reviews. We sometimes even pass on suggested authors and contributors to it, but it's not something that falls within our scope. But as a asset, for sure, I hope you have the chance to read Java Magazine on a frequent basis. Can you share again the QR code to the Java mail list. Okay, hold on here. I'm going to go off video again, just so I'm not creating any sort of issue with my bandwidth in terms of I possibly being dropped by, but here you go. In terms of the OpenJDK, this will take you the QR code will take you directly to OpenJDK, and on the left nav bar, you'll be able to sign up. There's a link on the left nav bar that says mail lists, which will allow you to then subscribe to the various mail lists specific to pieces of innovation that is happening inside OpenJDK, which, by the way, this is actually a good time for me to also pause and say, I'm happy to make all of these slides available. So if you're trying to take a screenshot or wondering, is there going to be a digital upload, I will try to publish this shortly after this event and share that published link with the event organizers. At least at a minimum, Richard has always been great at cascading information out. But we'll make sure that you get access to this. Worst case scenario, ping me directly. You have my and in fact, let me do this. I'm not sure if I can send a chat to everyone. Let's see if this works. I'm just gonna, I know this is going to be a bit dangerous, at least for me, but I'm giving you my direct email address. Feel free to drop me an email with any questions, or if you need assistance at any point. If you're not on Twitter, if you don't want to go to a mail list, if you don't want to even go to one of the URL destinations in terms of learning, if you'd rather just contact me directly, I will try my best. I will say this, I average about 400 to 500 emails a day. Yeah, you don't want to be in my shoes. It is daunting, but I will absolutely get back with you. I would just ask for your patience, because it does take me some time to sort of filter through everything. But my job is to stay connected. And so I have a responsibility to ensure that I don't ignore messages. I'll try to be as helpful as I can. If I can't, I'll be honest with you. There might be things that I can't do. For example, oftentimes I'll get a question, I'm having this issue at work and we have this blocker, and could you help me optimize this third-party dependency? That is a consulting, or that requires a service contract or some professional consulting or something that I'm not capable of doing. And in fact, let's just be clear, like, we're here to help and collaborate, but I'm also not here to just offer you free labor either. I hope that's not inappropriate to say, but I gotta say, oftentimes that's a question that I get in email with, can you help my business do this? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. So I'm just being honest. Let's see here. Other questions. Some comments. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. What else? Oh, I'm sorry. I do apologize. I should have put something in this presentation and I didn't. This is going to be a learning opportunity for me. But equally important as JCON is, there are also tens, if not dozens, of Java conferences, established Java conferences around the world. I consider all of them important. JCON is extremely important. It's on the top of my list. So please make sure you continue to attend this, both digitally and in person. But if you do travel the world, there are other conferences that are out there. And so if you go to inside.java, we actually try to keep our conference list as updated as possible in terms of what's current, which means if you see something missing, please tell me. Like, we want to make sure that that's accurate, and then you have an understanding of what's in flight. It's just another way to understand that vast landscape of learning opportunities, because we all have mechanisms and times when we want to connect. It's not always possible. And, conferences are a great mechanism to do that. Again, I'm here at JCON. Continue to stay loyal to JCON, but you can also stay loyal to other events as well. They're all equally important.